Okay, so let's use that last property to evaluate the following limits. It says, what's the limit as x approaches 0 of 1 plus 1 over x squared? So we need to think about here as we're getting closer and closer to 0. So what's happening to x squared? Well, x squared would be getting closer and closer to 0. So if x squared is getting closer and closer to 0, let's start thinking about fractions. That'd be like 1 over 10, 1 over 100, 1 over 1,000. Well, what happens when you have a fraction on bottom? When you have a fraction on bottom, you would invert and multiply, right? Multiply by the reciprocal. So instead of multiplying or dividing by 1 over 100, that's the same thing as multiplying times 100 over 1. Instead of dividing by 1 over 1,000, that's the same thing as multiplying by 1,000. So as the denominator gets closer and closer to 0, the entire value gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So this number right here, 1 over x squared, as it approaches 0, would actually approach infinity. So what you're looking at here is 1 plus infinity. And remember, a constant plus infinity, when we're dealing with limits, would be equal to infinity. And it is a positive value because as we plug it in, x squared, and we plug in numbers closer to 0, it doesn't matter if they're positive or negative. When they're squared, they become positive, so it goes to positive infinity. How would have we known this? Another way that we could have done this again would be taking x, f of x. We could look at the number x equals 0. We know at 0 it's undefined because we have a division by 0, and we could have plugged in numbers to the left of it and to the right of it just to be sure that this grows without bound. And that's what you would have noticed is as you come from the left and as you come from the right, both of those would approach the value of infinity. Okay? So if you can think through the problem like I was discussing with the x squared getting closer and closer to 0, which makes the entire thing go closer and closer to infinity, I'm okay with you logically working through that problem, but I'm telling you that the surefire winner on the test is doing that table. You're going to get the right answer every time if you do the table. So let's look at the next one. It says the limit as x approaches 1 from the left of x squared plus 1 all over cotangent of pi times x. Okay, so I can't will my mind through any of this. Cotangent values are really hard for me to understand when I'm looking at pi from the left and from the right, and so rather than trying to will through this and trying to have a deep understanding, I'm just going to simply cut out and I'm going to go to our table value right away. Here we're looking at the number x equals 1. We know when we plug in 1, on top we would have a 1, on bottom we would have cotangent of pi. Remember, cotangent is cosine over sine, and I know sine is 0, so I know this is undefined. If you didn't know that, just plug it into a calculator. So the idea is we need to come from 1. Well, actually, the beautiful thing is I don't need this whole table because, look, I'm only coming 1 from the left-hand side, so I'm actually going to go ahead and erase a significant portion of this table. I don't need to plug in the numbers to the right. I only need to plug in the numbers to the left. So let's think about what are numbers to the left of 1. I would do 0.9, 0.99, and 0.999. So again, I'm looking for you to evaluate at least 3 numbers in each direction on a table. So I'm hitting table on my calculator. I clear out the function that's in there. I'm going to hit the n over d for a fraction. On top, I'm typing in x squared plus 1. On bottom, I'm typing in cotangent. Well, that's a little hard to do, right? So how do I type in cotangent of pi x? Well, I actually have to do another fraction. So I hit the n over d button again, and then I do 1, and then in the bottom, I'm going to put tangent. Because remember, cotangent is just 1 divided by tangent. Here I'm going to put in the pi symbol, I'm going to put in x. Again, it is absolutely vital here that you have your calculator in radian mode. You absolutely must be in radian mode in this one, okay? So right now I have x squared plus 1 all over 1 over tangent of pi x in my calculator. I hit enter. Start value doesn't matter, step doesn't matter, just make sure you've highlighted ask x, hit OK. Let's start plugging in some numbers. So I'm going to plug in 0.9. I'm going to plug in 0.99, I'm going to plug in 0.999, hit enter, and here's what I'm noticing. I'm getting values of negative 0.58, negative 0.06, and negative 0.006. So what happens as I get closer and closer to 1 from the left looks to me like those numbers are getting smaller and smaller and smaller and actually approaching 0. So the limit as x approaches 1 from the left of x squared plus 1 all over cotangent of pi of x should indeed be 0. Okay, let's continue on with part C. So part C says the limit as x approaches 0 of 3 times the natural log of x. I don't know what you want here. If you want to do a table here, that would work great. Here's x and y. Again, if we plug in the number 0, we would get an undefined because the natural log of 0 is undefined. And notice we are coming from the right. So numbers you could plug in would be something like, I don't know, how about, since it's from the right, 0.1, 0.01, and 0.001. That would work great. You would notice what's happening as you approach 0 from the right. You would look at your y values. I'm going to go ahead and do this one because I know what the graph of the natural log of x looks like. The graph of the natural log of x looks like this. And I know that 3 times the graph of the natural log of x only stretches it vertically. It doesn't flip it or anything. So because I know that graph, I know what happens as I come to the right. My y value decreases without bound. So I know that it approaches negative infinity. Again, you would have gotten the exact same thing had you gone in and well, first of all, if you graphed it using Desmos, that's perfectly fine. But had you used that table, you would have gotten negative infinity. So I would have accepted either one of those. If you know what the graph of a function looks like, feel free to draw that down on the test as your work, and then just show me what's happening. That's perfectly fine. But again, the go-to, if you don't know what the graph of it looks like, just use that dang table. You could have filled in the table values. You would have gotten the same thing. Okay, let's look at D here. And by the way, this is the instance where you have, if you see it, it's a constant times negative infinity, and a constant times negative infinity is negative infinity. The previous case that we got was we got a constant over infinity, so that one had to go to 0. And then the first one that we got was we got a constant plus infinity, which goes to infinity. So what we're really doing is applying those rules, but we didn't even notice it because we're just using the table and seeing what it is. So technically these are applications of these rules right here, okay? So what happens is the limit as x approaches 0 from the left of x squared plus 1 over x. Well, if we plug in 0 into this first one, that most definitely is going to go to 0. And again, anytime you have a constant over something getting smaller, smaller, smaller. So as x gets smaller and smaller, closer to 0, 1 over 10, 1 over 100, 1 over 1,000. Remember, the overall thing is going to go to infinity or negative infinity. We have to be very careful here. This is 0 from the left. So from the left, I'm plugging in negative values. So that would actually go into negative infinity. So the case that we're dealing with here is a constant plus negative infinity, which we know is negative infinity. So the answer is negative infinity. Again, that was just a logical talk through the problem. What I would prefer to see most definitely on the test, go ahead and plug in those x values. We know it's undefined. So let's go from 0 from the left. I'd plug in negative 0.1, negative 0.01, and negative 0.001. Plug those into those functions, see what they do. And as you see that, as you go to the left, you're going to notice that it decreases without bound. And if it decreases without bound, that implies the answer is negative infinity. So please, I strongly encourage you, use the table on those ones. I was able to will through it knowing about the functions, and I don't expect you to necessarily be able to do the same thing. If you did, that's perfectly fine as well, but the table, your surefire bet on these problems.